We have lights. We don't have lights. We've turned the power off because we are going to start ripping down some of the ceiling from in here, and that just doesn't look like a good situation. That pool table's not going to move. We've got to get this whole thing ripped down very, very shortly for insulation to be done. So Emma's getting at it with a garden tool.
Because I can't reach.
Yeah. Good fun though.
Yeah.
Good work. Well, it's better to be precise to get bigger chunks out. Sometimes it's fun just to have a wee bash. You know? How you getting on, Em? Ripping into it, eh?
Fantastic. And you laughed at me for having a garden tool.
It is working better than mine, to be fair. So we've got the power off just because I didn't really know what the condition of the wires are going to be like while we're swinging hammers around. But while Emma's up checking on Roman, we had Roman just sitting out here while we did some work, just swept up, but we actually ripped it down the other night. And these are the results. So you can sort of see cables going in the wall up there, and oh, probably that power. But otherwise, bits where it's rotted out, as sort of expected. So hopefully these guys will just be able to like slot stuff through and lift in stuff like that. Hopefully they can work around that sort of stuff. If they can't, we'll just turn everything off. That's all good. So yeah, boom, too easy. I've put that box on there because literally the wires were twisted together and then had insulation tape around them once, and then another bit of insulation tape around the whole thing, so that's absolutely unsafe. So fix that up as well. This is good. This is progress. And this, which was surface mounted, just sort of ripped it out. Pretty much. Yeah. So we're at the other house. Emma's picking the dots off the walls. Roman's lying down here and getting some attentions once in a while with some toys in the cot. And this is the progress. So had a workmate of mine come, he wants to learn some DIY, that's cool. Ripped out part of it and we decided, no, you know what, we'll just rip this whole thing off now. We'll just start the whole thing from fresh. I've also noticed that, oh, there is building paper there. Okay, well, yeah, that's good. Might find some extra bats and just fill the gaps in this this wall here that goes to the outside, because there's some existing, so I might as well just fill the gaps. But I don't really want to rip all this off if I don't have to either, so we'll do what we can, but not go overboard. I wanted to just show you quickly today, because we'll be ripping out that side. This is what the previous fan that was here plugged into, like literally just a power point up in the ceiling. I don't particularly like that one, no real reason I guess, so I'm going to one of these. It's just a more modern version of the same thing. It's called an unswitched socket or a bubble plug, and there's a base up there that I've screwed to a piece of timber. They just click that onto when I've swapped it over, because a lot of these things these days come with a plug, so that makes it really, really easy. And as it turns out, if that bubble plug's in place, you don't have to be an electrician, because this just plugs in and out, but you have to get one that already has a plug on it if you're going to go that way. The other important thing when dealing with these, obviously, or maybe not so obviously, see there's a little arrow on there, rotation, and the more important one, airflow. You want to make sure that this is sucking air out of the bathroom and pushing it outside, and not sucking air from outside and pushing it into the bathroom. It could be embarrassing and pretty hard to get to depending on where you've put it. So yeah, so we'll be doing that, and we've got all this jib, and they don't make jib coving, which is some of this stuff that you know, as your scotia goes up in that top corner of between the ceiling and the wall. They don't make that with the Aqualine paper, so I don't know how that all works out. Probably a question for Mitre 10 Stan, who's visiting Greymouth in the not too distant future. But yeah, let's get into it. So the two fans we've got in here, there's two different types. That one's called a through wall. It does come with a little bit of ducting. You can see the hole we've had to cut out there. There's a little bit of ducting between the outside and the inside, but that's mostly just to keep it straight. So that cowl is just stop rain sort of thing. But yeah, so that ducting is real crap. It doesn't go around corners. It's this silver metal stuff, real rigid. You have to keep your holes lined up. I don't think I've filmed a lot of that. This one's called an inline fan because it's between where your inlet grill is and your outlet grill is, and it's somewhere in the middle, rather than being in that case, the bit you see on the inside is the fan itself. Like the fan motor and everything is right there. This one's in the ceiling. So quite simply, take my duct. I've made sure I've got enough length for either side to where I want it to be. A lot of that determines where you can fix this, because I'll be screwing it down there and there, then the other side there and there. 2 pieces of wood upstairs. That way when it's going and it's trying to vibrate and move, it's sort of held in place and doesn't cause rattling noises and that sort of thing. So I've cut my ducting in half and I'm just going to tape it up, but I just wanted to point out, I don't know if any of you at home will be doing this, but it's real easy. Make sure that you've got a little bit of plastic on the fan itself, and your duct tape really wants to be sort of half and half. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to go around twice on both sides with the one that's coming from outside already. Screw this down, plug it in, and basically just as this one's sort of hanging out, I'll leave this side just hanging out of that hole there, so that we'll just tuck it up in the ceiling so that we know when we come to line it with the jib exactly where it's going to be. So we won't have any issues. And I'll try and cut it into that hole there, so I don't have to cut through 2 layers, because I think we'll just keep that skin on pretty much. But yeah, just wanted to make sure that I told you about that. When you're cutting this duct too, these little ribs are actually a real thin piece of steel. So get some pliers or side cutters or something like that. You can get around most of it with a knife or something, but then you've got a tiny piece of steel to get through. So keep that in mind. There are some considerations about where exactly you put that fan up in the roof. First one is, where is the extractor fan actually going to be? You kind of want it close to the shower itself, the creator of the steam. You want between your fan and your outlet vent over there to be as roughly as straight a line as you possibly can, because any big like kinks or bends in it like that, probably doesn't show up very well. Yeah, it just reduces the efficiency of what you've got. So we're plugged in over there. That's all easy, that's all good. And I've just got another little piece of wood here that I've just pre-drilled some holes in, and I'm going to bash them in, because while I have screwed it down in 2 spots, it's still rocky quite a bit. So I'm going to have to pack this out just a little, give it another fixing point, a 3rd one, and then I'll stop that rock. Yeah. The other big consideration, I guess, is how hard is it to be wherever you end up putting it to get back to in future. In this case, if you get to it in future, it'll be through those holes there that lead to the main ceiling, not the one that I'm standing in right now. So hopefully that's close enough for them to unplug it, reach over, untape it, and then deal with it how they need to deal with it. But who knows, that might be my problem, which is why you try and make it easy on future self if you can. Just also wanted to say, while we're ripping this wall off, that this sort of style of vanity, the top moves a little bit. You don't want to move it too much, obviously, because the connections up to those taps will only go so far. But so I got the skill saw, ran it along on a sort of a straight line to be able to rip this out from behind the sink. So I can move, but not much. And yeah, we're getting there. That's what they used to have. So clearly it was this stuff first, and then a real thin layer of plywood, and then wallpapered over top of that, and then a layer of MDF over top of that. So I think we'll be keeping most of that just as a packer, and to try and meet what they've done, at least over there. But yeah, layer on layer on layer on layer, it just adds up and ends up being shit and being hard. Part of it. There's also a big bar. You can see that iron bar there from the old light switch, so we've sort of removed that to put a flush box in. But yeah, this is what we're up to. So that happened in like 2 pieces, like 6 straight away. This is like 30 seconds after that last little clip. Just glued on.